Did somebody say slop? Hello and welcome back again to the lowest common denominator form of content, reading stuff so you don't have to. Thinking about actually starting a news series where I just read the news. Say cheese, mouse with big butt caught on camera. No way. Bro does be looking kind of caked up though. Hey, more seriously, welcome back to updates on the new Hoi 4 DLC. I've waited a little while before I made another one of these videos. You seem to enjoy the other one. And now we're back to look at a couple of the developer diaries. We won't go too in-depth on all of them, but there is some interesting stuff to see. Now, before we get into the new focus trees for the countries, I wanted to go into the special projects first, because that was something I was pretty hyped about, and am still hyped after seeing all of this stuff. So first off, like I kind of assumed in the video already, the special projects to actually get started will require a new type of building. These will actually be on the map and you'll have to put them down, and I'm assuming protect them if you want to continue doing your special research. So if someone comes along and takes the province that your building is in, well, that's probably GG. Now, there are actually 4 of these for the 4 branches of special projects. You have Advanced Physics Facility, mainly nuclear-related projects. Naval, both sub and surface stuff. Then you got Aerodynamics and Avionics, Air and Rockets, Land Warfare, mainly tank and artillery related project. Now, funnily enough, it does look like you can actually just pop down these on the map wherever the hell you want. So you gotta be kidding if you think I ain't just gonna put them right on the front lines every damn time for the fun of it. Yeah, one mistake is Germany. Belgium walks into a province undefended. They've researched nuclear bombs. And it says here, once they are down on the map, you can then click them and assign a scientist to actually go into that facility and start doing the research or looking for breakthroughs to actually get you some new secret project, which I think is really cool. For the most part, if you're playing a game of Hoi 4, there's kind of a big disconnect between the UI, the background, all your factories and stuff like that, and what's actually happening on the map in the game. There's not really a correlation between the both, which I think is a bit of a gameplay negative. Yeah, it is kind of a weird gameplay concept if you think about it, that you could be playing Germany, hold pretty much just enough not to capitulate, say Berlin and whatnot, and you'd still have access to 4 research slots, all your MIOs. It's just, there's a bit of a disconnect, like I said. So here you go. This will be the new research screen. You used to have just obviously your research slots, but now you'll have this extra tab for experimental facilities where you're gonna get to work on creating man-made horrors. So if you're thinking you could just go ahead, get your little secret project going, put the facility down, put a guy in there, and you'd just be able to click the nuke button and wait to the end of the game, you'd be sorely mistaken. So you need an experimental facility to start a special project. However, you can't start a project just because you have built a facility. In order to start a project, you must first have at least one scientific breakthrough in the current field or specialization. So you can get breakthroughs in 2 ways. The fastest and most efficient is by researching related technologies, which will generate progress towards a breakthrough in the field. For example, researching regular aircraft technologies will generate progress towards a breakthrough in the aerodynamics and avionics specialization. So no matter what you do, you will have to actually put your research in to get these breakthroughs, which means it will put in a lot of work, I imagine, to get some of those late game harder ones that you'd imagine will be most useful. And the other way for you to actually get some breakthrough in your special projects is to just leave your research in there, just to do basic research in the field, and this will generate progress towards the next breakthrough. Although it does say it is slightly slower, which doesn't say horribly slower, just slightly slower. And if you're having a hard time picturing all this and what it means, if you actually look at their little example down here, they are currently at 30% of their progress to a new breakthrough on their air, and they're getting that from their research in large airframes and armor-piercing bombs, along with the facility itself, which I'm assuming is the scientist attached, which it is. And it does say down here that not all special projects will be available from the start, and you will have to get the researchers behind them or to unlock them. For example, submarine special projects are only available if, funnily enough, you have submarines. Additionally, some projects require other projects to be completed before they show up. That could be in the same specialization or in another, or even both. For example, in order to start the ICBM project, you need to have completed a few other rocket projects, but also have the nuclear warheads project. So yeah, like I said, it's going to take a lot to get to those late game and assumingly most useful techs, which is obviously good. You want to put the work in, and you don't want to be able to just click a silly button then get nuclear weapons. Okay, now comes prototyping. Projects take a long time to complete, and they are done in a number of prototype iterations. At the end of each iteration, progress is generated to the project, which makes it seem like just because you have the research, breakthrough unlocked, you still have to put even more work in to get it working. But there is a bonus to this, because if your project fails or the prototype doesn't do too well, you will still get a research bonus in related technology or army XP or similar things. I kind of like the little thing here. Depending on the outcome of the iteration phase, if you are unlucky, some powerful yet dangerous projects could make the facility suffer damage due to an on-site explosion. Mr. Manhattan. I think that bomb you've got back there, it appears to be ticking. My bomb is ticking. But yeah, here's a example of that right there. This iteration produced 16% progress towards the overall progress, and they got themselves a 35% research bonus for artillery, which is pretty cool, I guess. It's good that you get these little bonuses if you're failing, pretty much. Something that's really interesting down here is that the prototype iterations can actually have an effect on the overall actual technology you get out at the end of this thing. So some iteration outcomes will lead to a choice that can affect the final project output as well. Do we want our rockets to be range focused, or is the explosive power the main thing? This gives the project a bit more life of its own and makes not all the end results the same, but in general, some prototype iterations brings the project close to completion, which I think is really cool. Actually having these special projects be different every time you essentially get them is obviously a bit RNG focused, but makes every little game you play a bit different and a bit more exciting, especially if you play a lot of Hoi 4 like we all do, am I right, guys? So the last thing we're talking about here is about how it will actually be pretty costly to run a special project, which it should obviously be. They can only be put down next to a supply hub or a supply facility and be attached to the supply network. And lastly, some special projects consume resources while you run them. And at the bottom here just talks about completing a special project. So when you complete them, you will actually get obviously the research, but if you have a nuclear reactor special project, will not only unlock the nuclear reactor building type for you, but you also get a nuclear reactor for free in the same state as the experimental facility, assuming there is space for it. So after putting in all the resources and whatnot to actually research it, it does make sense that if you were to say make a super heavy railway gun, by the end of the project you will also still have one. You will spawn one on completion, which I guess would make more sense than you putting all that work in making 5 different prototypes, at the end getting one that works, and then being like, well, put this shred in the trash, let's go build it. And what I think is pretty cool is the fact these things will be on the map and that you can capture the enemy's experimental facilities. And if you manage to capture an enemy facility with an ongoing project, you will not only get to keep that facility, but also earn some progress in that project. If you have it unlocked and it's not already completed, additionally, you will gain some breakthrough progress in the field related to the specialization, which is so damn cool. And you can bet your little sweet butts I'm going to be paradropping onto them. Although I imagine, Paradox has talked about this, is going to be changing the AI to make them less brain dead. The paradropping onto a facility won't be as easy as you imagine anymore. Okay, there's a bit more about science and stuff like that, but we've got the gist of it. Now I want to look at the actual projects and see what we have coming. I think immediately what is super funny is they have put some of just the outlandish ones in there, like Project Habakkuk, which is the British ice carrier project. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this concept before. It was an absolutely insane thing to even think of, but it was technically put on a piece of paper. Yeah, they mention a few more in here, like obviously the RAD project, the German insane land cruiser tank. They've got that again, the land cruiser, the early helicopter, which I did say was probably going to be in it, which, it didn't take too many brain cells to figure that one out. And there's also a few more basic ones, just like the flamethrower tank, and I think it also mentions a building like the nuclear reactor and the V3. Something that's pretty interesting is that we will get underway replenishment, which if you don't know what that is, it means the naval task force will no longer have to be in a port to refuel. It will actually get convoys come to it and they will refuel it out at sea. And it shows it right here. It will unlock a new little blip right there. When the underway replenishment for a task force is enabled, it won't need to go to port to get refueled. Convoys will come to the task force while underway to refill their tanks. When enabled, the range of the task force is increased by 42% at the cost of the number of convoys proportional to the daily maximum fuel consumption. So yeah, that in itself is pretty huge. The extra range bonus is itself makes surface raiding a lot better, honestly. I know a lot of people just spam out submarines, but this could be a viable alternative now. You can just go send your surface raiders out to the Mid-Atlantic and do your business. Yeah, I was interested to see what they would put in like the naval branches and stuff, because obviously it's not something you always hear about, although I'm assuming there was a lot of breakthroughs during that period, especially when it comes to submarine warfare, which it does appear that is the a whole bunch of this stuff. So obviously we've got cruiser subs, midget submarines, anechoic tiles, all submarine related, so it is what it is. And then we've got a couple more down here in the land warfare. We've got the flamethrower tank, military engineering vehicles, which I'm assuming are going to be used to cross stuff like rivers and broken bridges, which again, very, very useful if it will give you a crossing bonus, I imagine. Then obviously we've got the land cruiser and the stronghold network, which is a new fort system, I believe, which kind of cool, I guess, if you want an even deeper defense in the game. Now, there is a little bit more that they have written down here, but I don't think it's too relevant. It's just about how the rockets are now changed and how some old technology will be moved into special projects like the flamethrower tank and how like all the new railway guns and stuff like that. But I don't think that's too important. I mostly wanted to know how it all works. Now we know how it all works, so let's go look at some focus trees. Okay, before we get into that, apparently there are big changes coming to the AI. Now, Paradox has made changes to the AI in the past that has improved it, and it has always been, let's just say, not the best. But with this new rework, they're calling the AI Force Concentration, or the AIFC for short, does look like the AI is about to have some major changes. One being, just looking at this map, in that it will, obviously in its namesake, concentrate its forces to take strategic objectives. That's right, no longer will the AI just spread all their troops across the line and push all at once. They'll instead, as you can see by their tanks placed on the left image here, actually push for a specific region or an objective. So it'll give us a more in-depth breakdown right here, and the AI then evaluates possible targets close to the front line, for example supply hubs, ports, large cities, and so on, and find a path to them from the front line to the chosen target. This path is determined according to the path of the least resistance principle, which means essentially that it tries to avoid river crossings, bad terrain, fortifications, and so on, while also following railway lines in an attempt to avoid ending up in a situation where they can't supply the troops. This is gonna be huge. Obviously, this could mean literally nothing, and the AI could still be absolute garbage, and now you just have the option of predicting where they're going to be. But considering the AI does just sort of ram themselves into you with no real plan, this could be a pretty big improvement. So I'm very excited to give this a go when it comes out. Now, there is a bit more down here, like a couple new technologies. They have actually added more transport planes with more range, so you can finally upgrade your damn starting ones and get a bit more range for your paratroopers. We also have changes to forts now, so that you actually need to research tech, and depending on the tile and the terrain in it, you'll be able to build a max fort level. So you can see the new values right here, starting off with no technology, and you can also see the new tech for building more forts. Okay, they've also finally reworked actually having your commanders remove your command power. Now you actually gain command power from them, which makes way more sense than it did before. And lastly, the big thing I want to talk about here is landmarks on the map. Now, these landmarks do come with new bonuses for your country, and whilst you can capture the landmarks on the map, you won't be able to get the bonuses for them. They're country specific, but it does mean that you can say, take the Statue of Liberty, and then the US won't get the Statue of Liberty bonus. So yeah, these landmarks will have country-specific bonuses. We don't know what they are just yet, and I think they also implied at one point that you can actually destroy these completely, which is going to be very interesting if true. Because you know, damn right, every damn time I'm going to destroy the Eiffel Tower, that big monstrosity. How dare the French have something nice? Okay, now we're getting into the good stuff. In fact, I think all of this has been good stuff so far, but we're getting into specifically the German rework. Now, obviously, it does say, opening up into the dev diary here, that this is a work in progress, which means things could change, or, you know, with your feedback, things could be improved if you care that much, or you just want to wait until it's released and then complain about it, which I'm gonna do. Now, this is just for the historical side of the German focus tree. The new all history stuff isn't in here. here. So we're just going to see what the base geometry will look like and what we can get up to. First things first, MIFO bills have been reworked. That is going to be pretty interesting because the system they really want to recreate here, I shouldn't say system, more the historical setting that Germany really wasn't ready just to go gung-ho and kind of got very lucky with a few of those early victories. Because as we all know, you could pretty much conquer the damn world in 1936 as Germany. It's pretty damn easy. You're not punished for it. Now they really want to recreate the precarious situation that Germany was in and the risks that they had to take to even attempt to what they did. Now, if we go down a bit further, we can actually see the new historical focus tree. I can't click on this. This isn't a full-res photo, at least not yet, but you can see pretty much that there is a lot just in the historical side of things to do. I do love how they're clarifying down here. Yes, it's chunky, and this is only the historical and common branches, but it's big, and it has a ton of 35-day focuses. That's what we like to hear. Yeah, I think the days of 70-day focuses are really behind us. 35 days is the sweet spot, in my opinion. Maybe a bit towards the lower end. You could probably have a few in between there, and obviously 70-day focuses could be still very useful, especially for very big things, or even specifically for later on in the game when you have a lot less focuses to do. But, you know, there could be a balance there. And if we move down here, we have what we were speculating about in the other video that I made on this, which is the new inner circle part of the focus tree. Now, it is a new system for Germany and something we haven't technically ever seen in Hoi 4 before, because it does look like it will be sitting inside the focus tree, but you can kind of already garner what is actually happening here, although they don't clarify that you go into any more detail in this dev diary. But yeah, it looks like you can actually go a bit more in depth with who exactly your little mustache man's going to be hanging out with and the power he's delegating. And then if you go all the way to the end here, potentially a strong successor to the mustache man himself, depending on where you've gone here. And then we have a quick brief little look at the military and industrial branches, nothing we can see right there, but it does say there's something that could definitely be said about every part of the new focus tree compared to the old one, is that it's bigger, but you won't be starving for things to do, and you do have to prioritize what you're actually going to be picking and what is necessary for your specific game. So I'm assuming it's going to play a lot like the Soviet tree, where you have tons of focuses to do, a lot of them are short, and you just have to pick the ones you want to go specifically for the type of game you're playing that time. You don't have to specifically do them all, which I like a lot because it brings a lot more replayability to a nation. Now comes a bit of interesting changes. You no longer start with all the starting generals and field marshals that you do in base game right now, which makes sense because a lot of them didn't become generals or field marshals until later on. Yeah, and they've played this into the new army branch, where apparently it's going to be pretty specified to obviously what generals you get and also what doctrine and technology you'll be researching. So we have two schools right now. We have the Prussian Legacy and the new Panzer Doctrine, and if you go down, you can kind of see exactly which side will give you what. If we go down to the Prussian Legacy part here, in the army branch, the important choice in this branch is how you shape your army. Do you want to rely on new tactics or new tanks or blah, 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 blah? Both offers will differ from each other, different generals, but the different paths also unlock two different decisions to help out with taking down Belgium. So honoring the Prussian legacy will steer your army towards infantry and artillery rather than historical focus on tanks. So if you actually go down here, you can actually see the new decisions that will come with the Prussian legacy path, where you will actually focus on your infantry being the Blitzkrieg instead of the tanks, so you'll get yourself a whole bunch of bonuses to help push through. Interestingly though, this isn't just a country bonus towards the actual nation you're going against, or even just specifically a overall modifier. It's on your states, which is interesting. So they really want to limit exactly where you use these operational plannings, which makes sense because they are a plan to invade France. Why would it help you in Russia? And in the Prussian Legacy, you also you go back to Stormtroopers. They're back. Something that's kind of cool is they now have historical frames over historical focuses. So you can see the flags in the background of the focus. This is obviously a historical focus, which is really good. I think they also said it is toggleable. Yeah, it is. So you can turn them off if you are annoyed by them. But this will help you if you're, I guess, a first-time player, you're not too sure what to be doing. Or, you know, if you don't really know the best option, you don't want to quickly read through it, you can just look at them at a glance and get to know where you need to be going. Now, this is the political side of the tree. You can see there are a few new interesting things. I do like the Supreme Leader one over there. That is pretty memey. We've also got a supporter coup in Liechtenstein. I'm not too sure if they're going to be adding Liechtenstein, but this is the second thing we've seen that might add a little micronation down there for us to click on. We will see, though. Time shall tell. What's kind of cool is that they have expanded the Befriend China or Befriend Japan over here, so you can actually now potentially get yourself a Chinese ally over the Japanese, or maybe go help over there if that happens. But down here, we also have create Asian Right Commissariats. That's new, so we'll probably get more commissariats to do. We also have the official Middle Africa as well, so there is a lot as well. Just, I guess, historical flavor that probably a lot of people have been looking for, and more options for what could have been historical flavor. Oh, the Berlin-Moscow axis has also been changed. Now it only lasts 2 years, so it won't be a lasting friendship. It's just a temporary one. So you best get beating the allies in that time, because obviously they will all join into a giant faction against you all if you do that, and even your normal allies, I'm assuming like Romania, Bulgaria, Italy, might also get in on it too. Yeah, the politics one, it's looking pretty good. It's not anything too crazy. It does just look like a good expansion of what Germany already was, and a whole bunch of other stuff on top. If you actually go down over here too, you have Operation Sea Lion, so we do actually have some help to get onto the British Isles, but it is quite far down, to be fair. Like as soon as you have around the Maginot, you're already going to fight the Allies anyway, so that is another couple focuses just to get down here, and by that time you could have already paradropped or naval invaded the UK, although I'm assuming it probably won't be as easy as it used to be. Well, at least hopefully. And then we also get another focus down here called Crossing the Atlantic and Shattering the American Hegemon, which, I'm really interested in what exactly that's going to be. I hope it's not just some, dumb range extenders or something. It might, actually make some worthwhile effort to make getting across the Atlantic either easier or worth it in the first place. Because as soon as you see the US actually join in the war on the Allies side, and you've already capitulated to the UK and stuff, it's just like, it's just a big sigh in terms of gameplay fun having to get over there. Although we can already see that influence in South America is there, so maybe you can get yourself a better launch point than having to go from like the UK up to Iceland, then Greenland, and then into Canada, which it's a bit of a long way across. But yeah, there is a whole bunch more in here for the Germans, but I think I've covered the most important parts. We obviously got more military high command now. That's very good and very interesting. More theorists. There's also more MIOs as well. They've added a whole bunch of German ones. Even got some brand new 3D models. You can get yourself the light tractor. There it is in all its tractor looking ways. It does say that they are going to go ahead and get them a new video, so if you want to see a bit more in depth on every single feature, it looks like Paradox will be making one for the German rework, and I'm actually very interested to see where they're going to go with the alt history paths as well, because obviously we have not seen that. Now we do also have the depth diaries for Hungary and Austria, but I feel like this video has probably gone on long enough already, and I do want to leave some of it up to surprise. I don't want to spoil myself too much, because I do like going in blind. I usually don't look at anything for the DLCs other than like the main features that kind of get thrown in your face. But yeah, I do want to leave some surprises. I wanted obviously to look at the German one because I didn't think it'd be too in-depth, and I probably won't cover any more of the updates, but a lot of people enjoyed the other video, so I thought I'd put together this quick one just going through the main things, and I can still say I am very excited. Oh, and of course, if you're very excited too, you can click my affiliate link down below, pre-order the DLC or anything else on that store, and I actually get a cut from Paradox now. Isn't that great? We've gone from literally the permanent blacklist of Doom to they give me money for helping them sell their games. But yeah, I'll leave that affiliate link down below if you want to go ahead, pre-order the DLC, or if you want to just wait until it comes out, see how everyone else thinks, that's fine too, because, obviously, we don't know. It looks good, but it could be absolute ass, which, I don't think it will be. There's a lot of good stuff in here, and I am very excited for this DLC. More excited than I've been for a DLC in a very long time, other than the CK3 one. That's still my peak excitement for DLC. But yeah, if you enjoyed this and you enjoy me rambling about Hoi 4 and the DLCs, leave a like down below, and yeah, let me know what you guys are thinking, because I actually am reading the comments as you are probably hearing me say this. Hello? Did you type hello back? Well, that's just rude.